Jake Dawson's garage sat on the far edge of town, wedged between an old diner and an abandoned feed store. The sign above the bay doors was faded, half the bulbs burnt out, and his tools were so worn that every repair took twice as long as it should. But Jake was proud of what he had. He'd inherited the garage from his father, who taught him that you fix what's broken, cars, lives, or people, if you've got the hands and the heart to do it. On a rainy Tuesday evening, just as Jake was locking up, he heard the faint hum of an engine sputtering on the road. A silver sedan rolled into his lot and came to an awkward stop. Through the windshield, he saw a young woman, no older than 30, sitting in the driver's seat. Her hands gripped the steering wheel tightly, and beside her, in the passenger seat, sat a folded wheelchair. Jake hurried over with his umbrella. "Car trouble?" he asked. She gave a shy nod. "Engine just died. I can't really push it anywhere." Her voice was soft, almost apologetic. He noticed the wheelchair and said nothing about it, just opened her door, offered his arm, and helped her into the garage. She introduced herself as Emily. No last name, no small talk. Jake got to work under the hood while rain hammered the tin roof above. "Your alternator's shot," he told her after a while. "I can get you a used one and have it fixed by tomorrow." Emily hesitated, biting her lip. "How much will that cost?" Jake could see she was worried, so he shaved the price down to just cover parts. "Don't worry about the labor. Just need to keep the lights on here." She gave him a grateful smile, one of those rare ones that doesn't fade fast. While he worked, Jake noticed her eyes wandering around the garage, lingering on a half-finished project in the corner, an old frame of a custom low-rider car. It was something he'd started for fun but never had the time, or money, to finish. "You into cars?" he asked casually. "Used to be," she said. "Before the accident." She tapped the wheelchair lightly. "Now, cars aren't exactly built with people like me in mind." That sentence stuck with Jake long after she left in a borrowed courtesy car. That night, after closing up, Jake couldn't stop thinking about what she'd said. He knew enough about custom builds to realize he could make her life easier. Not just fix her car, build her one. A vehicle that wouldn't make her struggle every time she got in or out. So he pulled the dusty project frame out of the corner and started sketching modifications: lower chassis, hydraulic ramp, automatic doors, hand-control driving system. It would take weeks, maybe months, and it would cost him everything he had left. The next morning, Jake made a hard decision. He put his old pickup truck up for sale. It was his only personal ride, but he figured he could borrow his neighbor's when needed. The money from the sale covered most of the specialized parts. The rest he charged to his already maxed-out credit card. Days turned into late nights. Jake worked on customer cars during business hours, then switched to Emily's project after the sun went down. The air in the garage was filled with the smell of oil and welding sparks, the clang of tools, and the low hum of determination. His hands grew more calloused, his back ached, but the vision kept him going. He didn't tell Emily. She stopped by twice to check on her own car, and both times he kept the surprise hidden under a tarp. They'd talk a little, about music, about the diner's terrible coffee, but never about her accident. He figured if she wanted to share, she would. One night, while tightening the last bolt on the ramp system, Jake stood back and just stared. The car wasn't flashy, but it was beautiful in its own way, functional, sturdy, and built with more care than anything he'd ever worked on. When Emily came by for her sedan a week later, Jake grinned and said, "Before you go, I've got something to show you." He walked her to the corner of the garage and pulled off the tarp. Emily's eyes widened. She wheeled closer, running her hands over the smooth paint, the sleek curves, the lowered frame. "This is for me?" she asked, almost in disbelief. Jake shrugged, a little embarrassed. "I built it so you wouldn't have to struggle anymore. Ramp deploys with one button, doors open automatically, and you can drive it entirely by hand controls. Thought you might like the freedom." For a moment, she didn't say anything, just sat there, tears gathering in her eyes. Finally, she whispered, "No one's ever done something like this for me before." Jake smiled softly. "Someone should have." And right there, in the dim light of his worn-out garage, a quiet promise was made, one neither of them yet understood would change both their lives forever. It had been 2 days since Jake handed Emily the keys to the custom car. He'd watched her drive away, ramp folded neatly into place, and wondered if he'd ever see her again. He told himself it didn't matter. He hadn't built it for thanks. He'd built it because it was the right thing to do. Still, the garage felt a little emptier without her dropping by. Jake went back to his routine, fixing beat-up trucks, arguing with suppliers over parts, and trying to stretch every dollar far enough to pay both the bills and his one employee, Mike. On a quiet Saturday morning, Jake was under the hood of an old Chevy when he heard the deep rumble of engines pulling into the lot. Not just one, several. He wiped his hands on a rag and stepped outside. 3 black SUVs lined up neatly in front of his garage, their paint shining like polished onyx. Doors opened in perfect sync, and men in tailored suits stepped out. Jake's stomach tightened. From the middle SUV emerged Emily, only she wasn't in a wheelchair. She was walking, slowly but confidently, with the help of a young assistant carrying a leather bag. She was dressed sharply in a fitted blazer, her hair perfectly styled, her presence commanding in a way Jake hadn't seen before. "Emily?" Jake said, stunned. She smiled warmly. "Hey, Jake, hope you don't mind the entourage." He blinked. What's going on?" She walked up to him, her heels clicking on the concrete. "There's something I didn't tell you. My full name is Emily Westbrook." She paused, watching for recognition. Jake frowned. "Should I know that name?" One of the suited men chuckled under his breath, but Emily just grinned. "I own Westbrook Technologies. We design medical robotics, AI systems for hospitals, and, well, a few other things. Forbes calls me a billionaire." Jake's rag dropped to the ground. "You're kidding." "No," she said, laughing softly. "When my accident happened 2 years ago, I stepped away from public life. I kept my circle small. I've been in physical therapy since then, and thanks to some new tech my company developed, I can walk again. Slowly." Jake took a step back, trying to process it all. "So, why come here? You could have had the best mechanics in the country." "Because," Emily said, her voice softening, "I wanted someone who saw me, not my name or my money. You didn't just fix my car, Jake. You built me freedom. No one has ever done something that's selfless for me, not even friends I've known for years." She turned to one of the suited men, who handed her a thick envelope and a set of keys. She held them out to Jake. "This is a check," she explained, "that will pay off your debts, replace your equipment, and cover a full year of payroll. And these," she placed the keys in his oil-stained hand, "belong to a brand-new pickup truck. Consider it a thank you for selling your own to build mine." Jake stared at the envelope, then at the truck parked behind the SUVs, a shiny, deep blue beast that looked like it had rolled straight off a showroom floor. I can't take this," he said, shaking his head. "Yes, you can," Emily said firmly, "because I'm not done." She gestured for him to follow her to the side of the lot, where a large flatbed truck was parked under a tarp. With a nod, one of her assistants pulled the tarp away, revealing a full set of top-tier automotive equipment. Lifts, welders, diagnostic computers, everything Jake had only dreamed of owning. "This," Emily said, "is your new garage setup. And starting next month, Westbrook Technologies will be contracting all our fleet vehicle maintenance to Dawson Auto. You'll have steady, well-paying work for years to come." Jake's throat tightened. He opened his mouth, but no words came out. Emily smiled and touched his arm. "You rebuilt my faith in people, Jake. The least I can do is rebuild your shop." By the end of that month, Dawson Auto was unrecognizable. The dusty, dimly lit garage had become a gleaming, fully equipped workshop with a fresh coat of paint and a bright new sign over the door. Dawson Automotive, EST 1989. The locals noticed. More cars rolled in. Word spread about the billionaire who'd invested in the small-town mechanic who once helped her without expecting anything in return. Business boomed. Jake still kept the custom car he built for Emily parked in the corner of the shop when she wasn't using it. Just in case you need a tune-up, he'd joke whenever she visited. She came by often, not just for car work, but to drink bad coffee with Jake and talk about life. One rainy evening, months later, Emily stood in the doorway of the shop, watching Jake finish up a repair. "You know," she said, "most people in my position would have just written a check and walked away. But with you, it's different." Jake looked up, wiping sweat from his forehead. "Because I'm stubborn. Because you didn't see me as a billionaire," she said. "You saw me as a person who needed a hand, and you gave it without asking for anything back." Jake chuckled. "Guess I'm old-fashioned that way." Emily's smile warmed. "Don't change, Jake. The world needs more of that." And in the glow of the garage lights, with the rain tapping on the roof just like the night they met, Jake realized something. He hadn't just saved a stranger's mobility. He'd built a friendship, a future, and a story worth telling for the rest of his life.